Hello, welcome to another video in the Tech Workgroup Manager series. My name's Noel Bruton. It's chaos out there, isn't it? There's so much to think of and there's so much to do, but there's actually an approach you can take. Here's what every Tech Workgroup Manager should do every Monday morning. What every tech manager should do every Monday is essentially ensure the work group is ready for the week. The manager's job is to make sure everything gets done, not just react to incoming demands. And that means that management means playing an active, not a passive role. It requires that the manager should check what needs doing, and there are 4 areas in particular where you should be checking. One of these areas is reactive work, another one is the maintenance tasks, another one are the administrative functions, and another one is looking after all those projects. Let's look at each of these in turn. If we're in a support function, we're going to be called upon to react. People will inquire of our knowledge, people will ask for our assistance, people will give us problems to solve. We need to know how often typically that's going to happen. How many times are we likely to be called on to react in the upcoming week? And what we then do is assign manpower to that estimate. This assigning manpower to a known amount of work is called ringfencing, and by doing that it frees up staff for all the other tasks that we'll be looking at in a moment. We also need to have a look at what's still outstanding, what still sits in the backlog unresolved. We address any reason it's still open. Importantly, we make sure that all those outstanding tasks are assigned to individuals, because you need that ownership to make sure that it happens. Nothing's going to move forward unless it's given to a human being to deal with. And once you've arrived at that point, get estimates of and target the completion of those tasks. So how long is it going to take you to finish these, Tom, for example? Check what was left open the last time has now been completed. Thus, let it be known that you're following up on this stuff, and thus let it be known that it matters. Then there's the maintenance work, also known as business as usual or BAU. This normally consists of a list of standard tasks. Schedule these and see that they're carried out, make sure they're owned. Keep logs of their completion, who did it, when, and matters arising that you need to deal with as a result. And now we've got the administrative functions. In general terms, what has to happen this week that's going to involve this work group of ours? Who's available? Who's going to turn up? Who's away on leave or who's away on training? Who we've actually got available to be able to assign tasks to? And for those absentees, can we reassign their tasks to make sure they get done? Who needs what information? What reports am I going to have to produce for my boss, for example? Workgroup staff skills development. Can you schedule some skills development tasks so people can improve their capability for dealing with reactive work? Are there any HR, human resources matters, for example, staff appraisals that you have to carry out or expenses forms that you have to sign off? And the actual support chain itself, of which your work group is a part. Is there any requirement for meetings with others in that support chain, for example, for designing processes and refining the work procedures you already have? Or perhaps for analysing exceptions that have occurred recently? Or perhaps for managing the expectations of your customers in terms of the services that you're going to deliver to them? And then last but not least, in these 4 key areas requiring management attention at the beginning of the week, is the issue of projects. With new projects, for example, this means breaking those projects down into activity components to make sure that there are known assigned activities going on, not just people spending time working on a project to no particular end. And that those activity components are laid out in an order of dependencies, because one thing might require that another is completed beforehand. You estimate the manpower consumption of the component that you've just arrived at, and then you assign the component owners, and then knowing the manpower consumption, you can also then schedule time to complete that component, and that's a way of dealing with projects generally. For existing projects, you check that previous components have been completed as they should have been. You check that the project as a whole is on time, and you plan remedial measures where these might be needed. So in conclusion then, there are 4 main areas of workload to be covered, and you now know who's doing what and when they're going to have done it by. Everybody in the work group knows what they have to do, knows what's been assigned to them, and it's all doable. Isn't it nice to be in control?